meantime, the president-elect is taking a tougher tone regarding Russia. Mr. Trump implying that he is more capable of being tough on Vladimir Putin than Hillary Clinton could ever be. He said this during his news conference. Well, this as the U.S. steps up its presence in Europe as part of a deterrent against Russian aggression in that region. Kevin Corke is live from the White House. Kevin, what can you tell us about the latest move by the United States?
Well, good afternoon, Heather. You're right. And this has actually been in the works for more than a year now. And you may recall you and I talked about this during the NATO summit last summer, which coincidentally was in Poland. And as you know, NATO has become an indispensable part of the safety and security of our allies in Europe. And so because of that reason and because of the fact that the Russian military has been increasingly aggressive in places like Ukraine and specifically Crimea, our allies are asking for help, and so the U.S., along with Canada and other countries, are there to help fill the void.
This deployment is defensive in nature. It is intended entirely to shore up our defenses along the eastern flank. It is motivated, at least in part, by some of the destabilizing and even escalatory actions that the Russian military has undertaken over the last year or so.
White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest right there laying out the reasons for it. We didn't get into specifics, Heather, in terms of numbers because the DOD is still managing that. As, of course, we get more information, we'll pass it along to you.
Yeah,
Heather?
We've seen some reports that about 3,500 or so being sent out from Fort
right.
Carson in Colorado. Soldiers
right.
from the Army headed out there to help reassure our allies in the region. Okay, so let's talk about this. The administration's take on Donald Trump's suggestion that Russia will respect the United States more with him in office. Tell us about that.
Well, listen, this is super interesting for me for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think there's more to this than meets the eye. Keep this in mind. Yes, he could make that suggestion during the campaign. He actually made it specifically yesterday. But I think this is also interesting because, listen, the president-elect is also saying something about the current administration in his comments. What he's effectively saying is, look, it's good to be friends with Russia, but failing that, we're going to be tougher and they'll have a healthier amount of respect for a Trump administration than they ever did for an Obama administration. Now, as you can well imagine, I tried to push the White House on this. They're loath to sort of comment on something like this, especially as it relates to Trump tweets or Trump comments. Suffice to say, though, they bristle at the suggestion, understanding that they have had 8 years to work at this relationship and it hasn't gone well. We'll see if things will be better under President Trump. Back to you.
It's an exciting time, certainly. All right,
Yeah.
Kevin Corke live for us at the White House. We'll see how